Let me tell you something that might go against the grain. You've got to learn to act like you don't care, not because you're cold, but because your peace matters more. There will always be critics, doubters, noise, plenty of it. If you're moved by every whisper and shaken by every opinion, life becomes a circus. It's not arrogance, it's discipline. You can care deeply and still carry yourself like you don't need the crowd to clap. Learn to act like you don't care, not to become heartless, but to become focused. There's a difference between being careless and being carefree. One is destructive, the other is freeing. When people see you chasing growth instead of gossip, they'll call you distant. Let them. You weren't put here to explain your fire to those who live in smoke. See, when you act like you don't care about distractions, the distractions start to fade. When you stop reacting, people stop poking. When you stop giving energy to what drains you, you start growing again. Here's the trick. You've got to know what matters enough to care about it and what doesn't. A wise person doesn't fight every battle. They know which hill is worth climbing and which one isn't even worth looking at. When you walk away from petty drama, that's strength. When you ignore the noise, that's wisdom. And when you keep your head down and your standards high, that's power. Learn to act like you don't care, because most of the time, you don't need to. Not about their gossip, not about their judgment, not about their approval. Your time is precious. Your focus is fuel. Guard it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Master your emotional control. Don't let opinions shake your purpose. Because every time you let someone else's voice get louder than your own, you lose a piece of your focus. You can't live fully if you're constantly adjusting to meet the expectations of people who don't even understand your vision. Let them talk. Let them judge. You weren't built to chase their approval. You were built to follow a path that means something to you. And that path will often be misunderstood. If you're always explaining yourself, you're wasting energy. If you're always reacting, you're losing ground. The strongest people aren't the loudest, they're the calmest. They're the ones who don't flinch when the world shouts. They're the ones who keep going when the applause fades and the criticism rises. You can't build greatness on emotional chaos. You build it on stillness, on focus, on choosing not to give your energy to every distraction that knocks. Mastering your emotional control isn't about pretending things don't bother you. It's about choosing what's worth being bothered by. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every challenge deserves your attention. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes silence is stronger than words. Sometimes walking away is louder than yelling back. And sometimes doing nothing is the boldest thing you can do. Because when your emotions are steady, your actions become intentional. You don't just move, you move with purpose. You don't just speak, you speak with direction. And when your purpose is clear, the noise gets quieter. The critics get smaller. Their words stop feeling so heavy. Because you're no longer ruled by reaction, you're led by vision. It takes strength to not respond. It takes maturity to stay grounded. It takes clarity to keep your eyes on what matters while the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. But that's how leaders rise. That's how legacies are built. Not through impulse, but through discipline. Not through noise, but through inner control. Master your emotional control because your purpose is too big to be shaken by small opinions. Acting like you don't care protects your peace, not your ego. It's not about pretending you're above everything. It's about choosing not to be dragged into everything. Some battles aren't worth the energy. Some conversations don't deserve your voice. And some people, no matter how loud they get, don't earn a response. When you act like you don't care, what you're really saying is, my peace matters more than this noise. You're not being passive. You're being selective. You're not ignoring the world, you're just not letting it run your mind. There comes a point where you realize that protecting your peace is a full-time job, and the less you react, the more you keep that job secure. You've got dreams to chase, not opinions to defend. You've got growth to pursue, not drama to entertain. Acting like you don't care doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. Clear about what deserves space in your life and what doesn't. Because the more you care about what doesn't matter, the less time you have for what does. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending every move. You stop giving pieces of yourself away to people who don't even know your story. You start walking lighter, thinking clearer, living freer. People might say you've changed. Let them. They're right, you have. You've stopped handing out access to your energy like it's free. You've stopped feeding every fire they try to throw you into. And that's not pride, that's peace. That's understanding the cost of constant reaction. That's knowing how valuable your attention really is. Because if you give your energy to everything, you have nothing left for what truly builds you. So act like you don't care, because sometimes that's exactly what keeps you sane. It's not about proving anything. It's about protecting everything. Your calm, your clarity, your mission. There will always be noise. There will always be distractions. But when you stop answering every knock, the doors that truly matter become easier to open. Acting like you don't care isn't about being heartless. It's about being wise with your heart. It's about learning to pause before you pour, to step back before you speak, to decide, not just react, because peace isn't something you find, it's something you guard, and sometimes the best way to protect it is to act like you don't care. Learn to separate what deserves your attention from what doesn't, because your energy is limited, and not everything that calls for it is worth the cost. Every moment you spend on the meaningless is a moment stolen from your mission. Every thought wasted on what won't matter tomorrow takes away from what could change your life today. Distractions aren't just loud noises sometimes. They come dressed as opportunities. Sometimes they look like people who mean well but drain you dry. Sometimes they feel urgent but have no value. You have to learn how to filter. Not everything that feels important is. Not everything that demands your time earns your presence. There are people who want to argue, let them. There are critics who want a reaction, ignore them. There are temptations that look shiny but lead nowhere, walk past them. Because the more you pay attention to the wrong things, the more you delay the right ones. You were not designed to fix everything. You were not created to fight every battle. You were not called to chase every voice. You were called to build something that lasts. And to do that, your focus must become sharp. Your boundaries must be firm. Your priorities must be clear. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 days, 5 months, 5 years? If not, it's probably not worth your attention today. When you learn to separate what matters from what doesn't, peace becomes your normal. Progress becomes your habit. Clarity becomes your power. You stop chasing noise and start chasing results. You stop trying to prove yourself and start improving yourself. And suddenly, your life starts to feel lighter. Because your time is no longer being stolen by things that never deserved it. The truth is, not everyone deserves a response. Not every problem needs your involvement. Not every situation is your assignment. When you learn the difference, you unlock your potential. Because what you focus on grows. And if you feed the wrong things, you starve your greatness. So choose wisely. Let go of the petty. Detach from the unnecessary. Ignore the irrelevant and pour your energy only where it multiplies. Learn to separate what deserves your attention from what doesn't, and your life will begin to reflect what truly matters. Staying unbothered is a form of discipline, not indifference. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've learned to filter what deserves to affect you. You've trained yourself to stay calm when others would crumble. You've chosen to rise above the noise instead of being pulled into it. This isn't about pretending. It's about choosing peace over reaction. Maturity shows up when you stop answering chaos with chaos. When you stop letting small things shake your spirit. when you no longer hand over your emotions to things that don't feed your growth. Staying unbothered is not weakness. It's the opposite. It takes real strength to feel the pressure and not fold, to hear the insult and not respond, to see the trap and not step in. It's a quiet kind of power, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. It walks in stillness, not noise. It moves with purpose, not panic. When you stay unbothered, you give yourself permission to protect your focus. You begin to understand that not everything requires your energy. Not every comment is an invitation. Not every situation needs your voice. Some things are better left untouched, because your attention is a currency, and you're not obligated to spend it on every distraction that comes your way. You learn to let people say what they want. Let them assume what they will. You don't need to correct every misconception or defend every decision. You let your life speak louder than your words. You let your results become your reply. And in that silence, there is strength. In that stillness, there is control. It's easy to be reactive. It's easy to lash out, to prove, to fight back. But staying calm, that takes discipline. It takes knowing who you are so well that nothing outside of you can shake it. It takes understanding your path so clearly that detours don't distract you. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about what matters most: your peace, your purpose, your progress. You stop watering weeds and start nurturing roots. You stop chasing noise and start building quietly. And the more you do it, the more you realize how rare that kind of strength is. Not loud, not flashy, but grounded. Centered, untouchable. So no, staying unbothered isn't indifference. It's discipline, and it's one of the strongest choices you can make. Growth demands focus, and focus requires detachment from distractions. You can't evolve if your mind is pulled in every direction. You can't rise if you're constantly weighed down by noise. The path to growth is not just about adding more. It's about cutting away what doesn't serve you. Distractions don't always look dangerous. Sometimes they look like comfort. Sometimes they look like familiar habits. Sometimes they come disguised as people who smile in your face but slow your steps. You have to learn to disconnect from what steals your clarity, because focus isn't given, it's protected. You don't just stumble into a focused life. You build it. You create it by saying no to what's easy, what's tempting, and what's loud. You build it by closing the tabs in your mind that lead nowhere, by turning off the conversations that drain instead of develop you, by walking away from environments that no longer match the person you're becoming. Growth is intentional, and intentional living can't survive in a scattered mindset. You need stillness to hear your own voice. You need silence to listen to your own direction. And you need distance from distractions to see how far you can actually go. It's not that the distractions will stop. They won't. It's that you learn to stop feeding them. You learn that not every message needs a reply. Not every trend needs your attention. Not every opinion needs your concern. You become more selective, more precise. You narrow your vision and expand your impact. That's how growth works. Not through noise, but through focus. And to focus, you have to be willing to detach. Detach from gossip. Detach from urgency that isn't yours. Detach from the fear of missing out. You're not missing anything when you're building something. You're not behind when you're rooted in your own lane. The deeper your focus, the stronger your growth. Because now your energy has direction. Your time has intention. Your effort has a target. So when it feels hard to detach, remember what you're protecting. You're not just avoiding distraction, you're choosing purpose. You're not escaping the world, you're aligning with your vision. Focus may cost you some attention, but it will reward you with transformation. And that's what real growth looks like. Not louder, not faster, just clearer. Not reacting is often more powerful than reacting, because silence carries a strength that noise can't match. When you choose not to respond, you're not backing down, you're rising above. You're showing that your emotions don't control you, that your worth isn't tied to someone else's words, that your peace means more than proving a point. Anyone can react. It takes almost nothing to lash out, to argue, to match fire with fire. But it takes wisdom to pause. It takes discipline to hold back. It takes strength to let things pass without letting them inside you. Not reacting isn't weakness. It's strategy. It's knowing that some things don't deserve your energy. That not every insult is worth a defense. That silence often speaks louder than the loudest voice in the room. You don't have to attend every conflict you're invited to. You don't have to prove yourself in places where your value isn't even seen. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, because not reacting gives you time to think, time to reflect, time to choose a response that builds rather than breaks. When you react out of impulse, you give your power away. But when you choose your silence, you keep your control, and that control is priceless. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to correct every misunderstanding. You don't need to fight every battle. Your life will speak, your actions will speak, your growth will speak. Let them talk, let them assume, let them underestimate. Their noise doesn't change your reality. Not reacting is choosing to protect your peace over your pride. It's choosing to stay grounded while the world tries to pull you in every direction. And it's choosing to respond later or not at all from a place of clarity instead of emotion. It's hard. It takes practice. It takes patience, but every time you do it, you build something stronger inside you. You build resilience. You build maturity. You build the kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be heard. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember what you're really giving up if you take the bait. Your energy, your calm, your dignity, and most of all, your focus. Hold your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. Not reacting is often more powerful than reacting because sometimes doing nothing is the boldest move you can make. Let your work speak, not your defense against critics. Because in the end, words fade, but results remain. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your grind. You don't have to defend your path to people who never dared to walk it. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them misjudge. You weren't built to convince, you were built to create. When you stop trying to explain yourself, you free yourself to execute. You rise above the noise and focus on the one thing that actually changes things: the work. Not the debates, not the arguments, not the opinions, but the work, that quiet, consistent, daily effort that most people never see, that discipline that doesn't ask for applause, that drive that keeps moving, even when no one's watching. Because critics come and go, but results leave a mark. Critics are loud in the beginning, but silent in the presence of excellence. So don't get caught in conversations that lead nowhere. Don't waste breath trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. It's not your job to fix their perception. It's your job to build something that makes their opinion irrelevant. The more you defend, the more distracted you become. The more you try to justify, the more you drift from your journey. Let your focus be your reply. Let your consistency be your statement. Let your success be the final word. Because when it's all said and done, the ones who made the most noise won't matter. The ones who did the most work will. So keep showing up, keep building, keep refining your craft in silence while they watch from a distance. And when the results come, and they will let them speak for you, let the outcomes echo louder than your defense ever could. Let the progress silence the doubt. Let the elevation answer every insult, because legacy isn't built in arguments. It's built in action, in discipline, in patience. You don't have time to fight shadows. You have something far more powerful: proof. Proof of growth, proof of grit, proof of vision. That's what lasts. That's what matters. So the next time you feel the urge to react, don't. Just work. Just build. Just rise. Let your work speak, because it always will. Walk away from noise and drama. They don't feed your future. They drain your energy. They rob your clarity. They pull you into cycles that go nowhere and distract you from everything that truly matters. Not every fire is worth putting out. Not every storm needs your presence. Sometimes the smartest move is silence. Sometimes the strongest step is walking away, because drama thrives on reaction. It feeds on attention. And when you stop giving it both, it starves. You weren't designed to carry chaos on your back. You weren't meant to spend your life tangled in arguments, opinions, and emotional tug-of-war. You were built for something higher, something clearer, and that future you're aiming for. It requires all of you, your time, your focus, your peace. Noise and drama don't add to that. They take from it. They cloud your mind with what doesn't matter. They fill your schedule with things that don't grow you. They keep you busy, but not productive, loud, but not effective. You can't plant seeds in the middle of a storm. You can't build a foundation on shaky ground. And you can't grow in peace if you keep returning to the noise. So take inventory of your space. Who's pulling you forward? Who's pulling you down? What's building you? What's draining you? If it doesn't feed your focus, fuel your growth, or align with your future, it's time to walk away. And walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It means you've learned the value of your peace. It means you've outgrown the need to be involved in everything. You no longer chase closure from chaos. You no longer seek validation from voices that don't understand your mission. You no longer fight to be seen where you're not valued. You just walk away, quietly, firmly, unapologetically, because your future is worth more than momentary noise. Your calling is too important to pause for conflict. Your purpose is too strong to waste on drama. The path ahead is waiting for you to let go of what weighs you down. So walk away, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. Not to prove anything, but to protect everything. Walk away from noise and drama and walk into the future you've been working for. You can still care deeply, just not about everything. Because if you care about everything, you'll burn out before you ever arrive. Your heart is powerful, but even it has limits. Your time is valuable, but it's not endless. Your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Caring deeply is a strength. It means you show up. It means you give your best. It means you feel fully, love fully, and commit with intention. But the danger comes when you don't protect that depth. When you start giving it to everything and everyone. When you stretch yourself so thin that nothing gets the real you. Caring about everything is like watering every plant in the garden, even the weeds. Soon, the weeds grow just as tall. Soon, they crowd out what was meant to flourish. You have to choose where your care goes. You have to decide what truly deserves your heart, your thoughts, your emotion. Not every conversation needs your opinion. Not every problem is your responsibility. Not every situation needs your involvement. Some things will have to exist without your energy. That's not being cold. That's being clear. You're not hard-hearted, you're intentional. You care deeply, but with boundaries. You love strongly, but wisely. You're present, but not consumed, and that's how you stay whole. That's how you protect your peace while still living fully, because the world will keep pulling at you. People will always have needs. Situations will always demand attention. But you are not required to give all of yourself to everything around you. You get to choose. You get to say no. You get to conserve your care for what truly matters. For the people who show up like you do, for the goals that align with your values, for the moments that shape your future, that's where your care belongs. That's where your heart thrives. Because when you stop caring about everything, you start pouring more into the things that count. Your relationships get richer. Your goals get clearer. Your soul gets lighter, and your life gets better. So yes, care deeply, but don't carry everything. Care deeply, but don't chase every fire. Care deeply, but only where it counts, because your care is a gift. Protect it like one. Protect your time, energy, and mind like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Every moment you spend is a moment you will never get back. Every thought you entertain shapes your future. Every ounce of energy you give away is a piece of your potential lost. Time is your most precious resource. It's the one thing that can't be replenished. Once it's gone forever. That's why protecting it is not optional. It's essential. You must guard your schedule like a treasure. Not everything deserves a place on your calendar. Not every invitation warrants your yes. Learn to say no without guilt, because when you protect your time, you protect your purpose. Energy is just as vital. It fuels your actions, your creativity, your motivation. But energy can be drained by the wrong people, the wrong thoughts, the wrong habits. Protect it fiercely. Surround yourself with those who lift you up. Engage in activities that recharge you. Cut ties with what depletes you. And then there's your mind, the most powerful tool you own. It's where your vision is born, where your beliefs take root, where your destiny is shaped. Protect your mind by choosing what you feed it. Be mindful of the information you consume. Be selective about the conversations you join. Guard your thoughts against negativity and doubt. Your mind is the garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. Choose wisely what you plant, because a protected mind creates clarity. Clarity leads to confident decisions. Decisions that move you closer to your destiny. This is not about shutting the world out. It's about creating boundaries that allow you to thrive, boundaries that keep distractions at bay, boundaries that preserve your peace. When you protect your time, energy, and mind, you're investing in yourself. You're telling the world that your future matters, that your goals are worth the effort, that your dreams deserve your best. Remember, distractions will always come. People will demand your attention. Circumstances will test your focus, but your response is what counts. Protect your time by prioritizing what matters. Protect your energy by surrounding yourself with positivity. Protect your mind by feeding it wisdom and truth. Do this consistently, and you build an unshakable foundation, one that supports your growth, one that leads you to your destiny, because the truth is, your destiny is waiting on the other side of discipline, on the other side of focus, on the other side of protection. So protect your time, energy, and mind like your destiny depends on it, because it does. And remember, every choice you make today shapes the life you'll live tomorrow. Protecting your time, your energy, and your mind isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. It's about stepping fully into the future you were meant to create. So stand firm in your boundaries, guard your focus fiercely, and never settle for less than the life that's waiting for you. Your destiny is in your hands. Protect it, pursue it, and watch yourself become unstoppable.